Morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
Today's episode
is No Worries, Mate.
You know, it's fun. It's been almost 15 years that this show's been produced. And since we took it over ourselves a year and a half ago, we've always had a producer behind the scenes working with us, working with the guests. And today there was no producer available, so I'm producing it. And no worries, mate. It's going to be perfect. It already is perfect. We've had a lovely chat before we got started with our guests. We're looking forward to speak with them. And I realized that we could either be worried about the future. Are you missing your tooth? Well, if we ever record this
as a live video,
if we ever show this as a video, you'll get to see Shia smile again. Shia, he's missing a tooth. He has a prosthetic tooth right now while that area is healing up before they put in the permanent implant. And
well, the implant is in, but you know, they put the screw into the jaw.
You're screwed?
I'm screwed.
But it's still building bone around the screw. So before they can actually finalize things, he has a period of time to go. If you haven't been with us before,
we talk about inane things,
which is great, at least for us.
Yeah.
And it is for you if you follow the bobsled of our conversation into the moment. If you're being here, life is just this incredible journey. It's a journey to here and here and here. If you have a preference about what's more important,
or if you're worried about how it's all going to turn out, you can always check and see how it's turned out.
Just tune in to right here, right now.
This moment is how it's turned out. So until it changes, you could celebrate being the way you are in the current moment. Only problem is most of us have an internal conversation that finds fault with us and wishes that we were different than we are. And it's very strange. You've got a world with about 8 billion people, each one an individual, each one different, each one unique, and each one thinking they ought to be different to be okay. Isn't that funny? I think it's funny. Ha ha.
We're recording this about 5 weeks before we
release it.
And last night we did a Living Made Easy seminar. And if you haven't been to one of those, they're amazing. We have people from all over the world attend on Mondays, Saturdays, and once a month on a Tuesday. And so it's a real eclectic group of people with different concerns, different lifestyles, different realities. And last night there was a fellow who was on, a really lovely guy named Steve, who's come on and off for many years. And he is a stock trader. He works in the market, and he was worried about today. He was worried that Putin would invade Ukraine today and he would take a financial hit in the market. And now, when you're listening to this, it is a month after, weeks after that has all developed itself. But what was interesting was how his worries about something he could not control was ruining that moment. That forward thinkingness polluted right here, right now, so that he had a challenge allowing himself to enjoy where he was, because someday it was not going to be the way he would prefer.
Well, the truth of the matter is someday we're all going to die. That's part of the ground rules for being here. You're born, you die eventually. Worrying about how that's going to happen and when that's going to happen is a waste of this moment. You see, all you have is the current moment of your life. not some someday something. Let's talk about listening for a second.
Yes, because as you were saying that, I found myself having side conversations. So you said we're all going to die, worrying about it is a waste of the moment. And I had, well, except if you're not attentive to things with your, how you eat and how you move, then you're hastening that end.
Perhaps.
But I found that thought blip happened in a nanosecond.
Right.
You will have thought blips today. Just bring your attention back to what's happening, to the words that you're hearing, to the sensations you have as you're being here. I don't know what you're doing today as you're listening to this. If you're walking and you have it in your earbuds and you're listening, see if you can really bring where you are and what you're hearing into the foreground as opposed to thinking about it.
Well, we really need to talk about listening, though, because everything you just said, as accurate as it was, if a person isn't truly listening, if they're thinking about what you're saying to see what they agree with or disagree with, they don't really listen. Mm-hmm. They think about what you're saying to see whether it's true for them.
Yes, but
this is normal. Mm-hmm. See, this is how people normally function. And we're asking people to do something that's a little outside the norm, which is to modify, to bring intentional awareness, a non-judgmental seeing into how you listen, to hear what another person says, not to comment on it or try to fit it in with what you already know.
I love that.
And that's the problem. People don't truly listen to one another unless they intentionally listen, not as a passive act, but it's an active act of engagement in intentionally recreating what another person is saying from their point of view.
And if you find yourself from moment to moment not listening, the moment you notice you haven't been listening, you're already back. So just flick your attention to what's being said.
And now, why all this talk about listening? Well, true listening will pull you into the current moment of your life, and transformation happens to you when you enter the current moment. For the most part, most of us are busy worrying about the past or the future and not currently being in our current moment.
Yeah, I read to Shai an email this morning that had come in a couple of weeks ago, and somehow it had gotten opened and I didn't see it, actually. I didn't read it, really. And, I might have gotten flicked open on my phone. It was still in the inbox and I was getting ready to file things. And it was from our friend Andrea. And she was talking about, she has a studio and her landlord had reached out to her and said, I would like to speak to you about a new lease agreement. And immediately what kicked in was, no, you think, oh God, I don't want to have to pay more. I'm comfortable here. I'm making a comfortable living, whatever the immediate no is. And what she wrote in this email that I found so impressive was she said, I realized all I had to do was go to the meeting, listen to him, and get interested in what he had to say. And they came up with a new agreement that they both love.
It's interesting you say that. Because see, we listen selectively. We listen to hear what we want to hear, and we disregard everything that seems not appropriate or not applicable to our current situation.
Or not with our agenda. I mean, clearly she had the agenda as
to keep her rent the way it was.
Yeah. And the email or the reach out from her landlord, I'm not really clear whether he called or emailed or text, triggered that automatic reflexive no. But we all have those automatic reflexive no's. One of the things that happens with this transformational approach ever. And with listening and practicing listening, you can override that, or you can include it and then step into the moment, in which case it ends up that she and her landlords they're like a team as opposed to on opposing sides and in conflict. And then she would have gone to work in a conflict zone every day. And so I just found her email very impressive, and I thought we should share it with you. Should we take our first?
I think so, yes.
All right. Renata, welcome to being here. And please tell us where you're zooming in from.
Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shaya.
Hi.
I'm zooming in from Bern, Switzerland.
Welcome to being here.
Thank you. So this is the topic is like, it's just the right topic for me at the moment.
In what respect?
I have a lot of paperwork to do. My mom died last year. And the whole year I did a lot of paperwork. And now the taxes are waiting to be, we have to fill in many forms and give them a lot of information.
I have a question.
Yes.
How much time are you spending not wanting to do this paperwork?
I already spent about 2 weeks not doing this paperwork.
Yes. And how long do you think it would take if you just did it?
Like about 2 hours.
Right. So in effect, you're wasting huge amounts of time in your life in resistance to doing what you're going to do anyway.
So if you so readily recognize that you've spent 2 hours, 2 weeks resisting 2 hours worth of work, and you're a very, very intelligent person, I'm just wondering if that 2 week procrastination buys you something somewhere else. Like if you had all that free time, you might be confronted with something else. So being consumed with this is actually a gift.
Right. In other words, what does complaining about having to do this paperwork save you from?
Intimacy.
Ah. Well, you can have it all. You can have intimacy and get the paperwork done.
And you don't have to have intimacy if you have paperwork done.
Yeah. The one point is that I'm not so well organized. And that...
You are very well organized. The way you organize it. See, you organize things in your life exactly the way you have forever. And you're successful. I mean, I know you were a teacher for several years.
And there's no way you can be a teacher year after year
without having organizational skills.
Without realizing that you need to deliver a subject, test the subject, and give the kids feedback about that subject by grading the tests and ultimately either graduating them or not. So when needed, you've been able to do things in a timely manner year after year.
Yeah. But this morning I started, and then I always got to points again where I have to call somewhere, or I have to ask my brother for some papers that are missing. And it's every time I come to a point where I see, oh no, this number is missing, this paper is missing, this. I just want to throw the computer out of the window and cry. It's not that I'm still doing it, but I want to do that.
That's very interesting. Because you see, life doesn't show up the way you want. It shows up the way it does.
also think you may be misplacing some of your emotions. Don't forget, you are working on your mother's estate. Anything that's left over in terms of loss or grief or sadness or frustration, any self-recrimination about things you did or didn't do over the arc of your relationship together, that's going to be triggered while you're working on her estate.
So if you blame the emotions that come up
on the missing
piece of data, then you keep those emotions locked up and they never complete themselves.
You know, I think it was Saturday, you and your girlfriend came to the Living Made Easy. And I could see just by your body language with each other that things are not as smooth right now as they are sometimes, that there's some tension and perhaps some conflict and not listening. And I wouldn't be surprised if this tumultuousness that you are experiencing around one area of your life is translating into the other. You know, we often say how you do anything is how you do everything. And I'm not sure you're using Esther as a support or a sounding board, like, wow, I handled this piece of my mom's estate today. I got so frustrated, or I suddenly felt sad for no reason, or I'm not sure that the flow of communication between you two is really smooth right now.
She is working a lot at the moment.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing, but she's absorbed by the thoughts about working. She changed her job. She had a, how do you say, upgrade? Like she
was promoted up.
Promoted, yeah. And it's very new for her, and she's really absorbed. Her thoughts are absorbed by that.
May I do one other?
Please.
Give another. There, you go first.
Well, you want her attention. Just from what you say, you want her to give you her attention, except when she does. And then it's too much, because you talked earlier about intimacy. And when we talked about what did this upset save you from, and you said intimacy. So on the one hand, you say you want intimacy. On the other hand, you push it away.
That's true.
But you know, the other thing too is if she's had an upgrade and she's consumed now with the learning curve of having this expanded duties at work and learning new pieces, you can either be resentful that she doesn't have leftover for you, or you can anticipate her needs. The intimacy can come from your side. And what will happen for you, Renata, is you will have to drop any lingering frustration over your mom's estate. And you may discover that when you go back, those things are easy, or where to get the phone number from, or just picking up the phone or sending a text to your brother becomes easy rather than something that is slow walked.
Well, you know, everybody has, don't tell me what to do. Everybody has a no to anything new requested of them by life. And you have that.
Yeah.
So anything that is asked of you that's outside of what you think you want to do, you have a complaint about. And
that's true, yeah.
Yeah, and somehow the ability to allow yourself to do what's next without hesitation is a very freeing thing. I mean, look, I have my morning chores, you know? I get up in the morning, I build a fire in the wood stove, I cook breakfast, I wash the dishes. There are all these things that I have to do. but I do them as though it's my idea and it's not problematic. If I did it and resented having to do it, man, that's a horrible way to go through life, at least from my point of view. But it's normal for most of us.
Mm.
I just have one other thing for you, Renata, and that is that any leftover incompletions you had with your mother will be transferred to Esther.
They will play out with your relationship with Esther.
And this time frame of going through your mom's estate and handling all the details of it is
reactivating.
It is reactivating, but it's this incredible opportunity to really complete things. And if you don't blame your agitation, should you have any, on Esther or your mom or the lack of things, but just let yourself feel it, that these things are all acting as catalytic agents for what's already contained in you, you have the potential of a whole new life.
That sounds good.
Which isn't suggesting the one you've had before is substandard in any way.
Oh, I didn't understand. Say it again.
Well, when I say you're having
a whole new life, not that your life up until this point was bad.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're
welcome.
So welcome.
Okay, here we go. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight, where we hear from one of our listeners about how transformation has impacted her life or his life.
If you want to learn more about our seminars, any of the upcoming virtual courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
That is Transformation Made Easy, easy.com.
I love it.
Thank you.
This is Andrea from Basel in Switzerland. I love transformation and I cannot even imagine my life without it these days. Being at a Living Made Easy seminar is something that just nurtures me, my life, and I feel like my life gets wider, broader, and the people in it and everything I do is sweet, and it's just a wonderful way of connecting with people. Even if it's through Zoom, if it's live, it doesn't really matter. Just being connected is something that I experience deeply these days.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
You are invited to join us for Living Made Easy seminars. Next is on Saturday and then the following Monday. You can check the schedule
at livingmadeeasy.com.
Transformationmadeeasy.com.
Transformationmadeeasy.com.
That's okay. Once you get in there, it's Living Made Easy seminars. And no worries, mate. And our next weekend seminars are Leap into Life, April 30th and May 1st.
And New Beginnings, June 11th and 12th.
Today, we have a shout out for Colleen. She is the lovely lady from Manhattan who came up with this title and the description for this show, which we are happy to produce today. And thank you very much, Colleen, for your inspiration. By the way, if you want to join us for our seminars, or if you would like to sign up for our newsletters, our blogs, go to transformationmadeeasy.com. There you go.
There you go.
Let's take our next guest.
All right.
Miss Cheryl, where are you zooming in from, and welcome to being here.
Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shire. I'm calling in from, or connecting in from Hong Kong today. And I feel like it's a transformation all day, or I started my day in Hong Kong with you both and a lovely group of people on the Living Made Easy seminar. And then I'm ending my day today with you guys. So I feel like it's just been a nice little dose of nice
bookends to your day of transformation.
Yes,
huh?
That's it. Yes, thank you. Yes, so I love the conversation you're having with Renata, and I can definitely relate to that. I know I spend a lot of time putting things off, and I really see the value of these conversations and what you guys have to offer. So I really thank you for the impact that you've had on my life and by what you offer. And I'm lucky that being in Hong Kong in these times, we can connect in via Zoom. So thank you. My question today is, I love No Worries Mate. And here in Hong Kong, we're going into, I don't feel like I can't even talk about it, but we're going into like our fifth wave of COVID, and it's been, I guess for us here in Hong Kong, the worst it's been. And I feel as though I'm okay with how things are. It talks about potential lockdown or changes to the school calendar year. We started working from home since the beginning of the year. But I can feel, or maybe I thought I was going to be able to travel home. I haven't traveled for 2 years to see my family or out of Hong Kong. And I guess with all these changes, I feel like, am I ever going to get out of here?
Is travel restricted from Hong Kong?
Yes, it is. There are 9 at the moment. There are 9 countries that have been the borders are closed to, which doesn't mean we can't get out. It just means it's very tricky to get back in. I would have to. Anyone who leaves and lives here comes back. They have to go. Right now, it's 14 days hotel quarantine. It was reduced from 21 days. And if you're coming from a banned country, then you have to. Or I'm sorry, a closed border country, then you have to spend 14 or 21 days somewhere else. And that could change as well at any moment. So I feel I just thought I was going to be able to go home, and who knows what the future will be like. And this could just be, just could pass in a few weeks or.
Well, my dear.
Yeah.
I know that you thought you were going to be able to go home. But what if you didn't really want to go home, but felt obligated to go home?
Mm-hmm.
COVID is a convenient reason not to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Where you don't have much choice in the matter. So in a way, that's a gift. Now, the other thing is this: if you really want to go home to the States, to Texas, that's where you'd go.
Mm-hmm.
You'd find a way to work.
You'd find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
Particularly as you are working from home, so you could likely do it even with a 2-week quarantine in a hotel, working wherever you are, or flipping time frame once you got to the United States, or I'm assuming the United States is one of the closed border countries.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I sometimes think of this COVID time, Cheryl, a little bit like what must have been like for my ancestors when they decided to move from Czechoslovakia or from the Netherlands, then called Holland, that they had to recognize that they may never see those people again. And then wherever they landed, it was home. And somewhere, I have no problem with you having a heartfelt desire to see your family, but it's interesting that you've lived on that side of the world for how many years?
Like 26 years, I think.
And that you keep talking about going home, so that you don't allow yourself to be where you are as if this is your home.
Right.
And then going to visit your family.
You see, you're working out of the space of this isn't it, where in truth, you've chosen to live in Hong Kong, which is on the other side of the world from Texas.
Yeah.
So my sense is you want to be there. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gone and stayed for the last 26 years.
Because I imagine the type of work you do could be done virtually any place.
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe you're doing what you want to do, but that seems selfish to do what you want to do. I mean, you have familial obligations, don't you?
Yes. Yeah.
See, look, we wouldn't be talking with you if I weren't selfish. Because about 45 years ago or so, my wife and I split up. And I could have stayed in California, but I followed my heart to the East Coast of the United States. And eventually I met Ariel.
And that led us on a journey of many different locations for periods of time. And you are living exactly the life you want.
Exactly where you want to be, except it doesn't fit the script or the picture or the idea or story of where you should be. Because everybody knows a good daughter stays close to home.
Yeah. It's my whenever I speak to my mom or anyone in my family, it's like, are you coming home? Are you coming home in April? And yeah, so I do feel the pull. I do feel the obligation. Yeah.
But if you really wanted to, I'm sure you'd be there.
Yeah.
So I'd give yourself a break, you see, from beating on yourself for not doing what you really don't want to do anyway.
And if you do want to do it, it's going to require stepping into the complexities that face you and the fluctuating unknown that face you, and recognize that when you get there, rules may change and it may be more complex to get back. Mm-hmm. And if it's what you want, you'll face that. And if it's what you don't want, it'll be too insurmountable to even get going.
Yeah. Yes.
When you realize you're doing exactly what you want, life gets easier.
Yeah.
Life gets much easier. You see, this side conversation, how should I get home? How can I get home? Keeps you from being where you are with totality. So it's like you've become the victim of the Chinese government.
And your mother. Because on the other side is, when are you coming home? Will you be here in April? But if your mom just got on the phone with you or got on a Zoom and said, hey, Cheryl, how you doing? How's work? You know, oh, nice outfit you're wearing. You look great. Okay, see you later. You'd probably feel a little left out that she's not saying, when do I get to see you in person?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Who would you be without this conflict?
Yeah. And that rings so true as well, because I that really has been our dynamic for a while, ever since I left, I guess. It's
20 years worth then.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really cool.
What if you can't do it wrong? And what if you can't do it right?
What if you can only do it the way you're doing it?
Yes. But
enjoy yourself whilst doing it the way you're doing it, rather than berate yourself.
And I feel like sometimes I get triggered because I have friends who are leaving, some last year. I have about 5 friends leaving this year, and the changes that are happening. I feel like it just triggers. What do I want, or what do I do?
That's really the question: is what do you want?
Yeah.
Whether you want to stay in Hong Kong or you want to go somewhere else.
And currently, you want to be in Hong Kong. You know how we know?
That's where you are.
You know what you want by where you are, how you are,
and what you've gotten.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's so true. I feel so much clearer in my head too.
I'm not sure you need to figure out where you want to go. I think it'll become obvious if you keep investing in where you are. You invest in where you are, it'll be clear. You know what? I need to set up a trip regardless to go see my mom. Or it'll be, this is not a time for me to set that up. It'll just be obvious. Staying in Hong Kong or leaving Hong Kong will be obvious, as opposed to something you need to figure out. And it's not logical, as in you weigh the pros and cons. There are pros and cons to everything, but it's about your natural knowing of what you want.
See, the other thing is this: your mind is a worry machine. It worries about the future. It worries about the past. It worries about what's going to happen when. And that's its function. So you can either get lost in the worry about it or live where you are in this moment.
Yeah.
And it's kind of alluring to get pulled into that worry, because it takes you away from the current moment. And the current moment is filled with uncertainty. Except if you're there for it, there is a certain certainty because you're there with your life as it's showing up.
Yeah. I feel so much more, I don't know, here, or less in my head, or less about the worry. It just feels nice.
Nice.
Good.
Excellent. Yeah. Thanks for zooming in today.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, you enjoyed the podcast? If so, I know we've said this before, but listen up. You can leave a review on your favorite podcast app. It helps other people find Being Here. And if you feel to do it, thanks in advance, or thanks again if you want to leave a new one. Next week's episode is very simple. It's called Done. Done. It's done. 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 There's only one of those, though. It's done. We'll be back next week.
So for today, we are done.
Come on back.
And don't miss being here.